Kyle, I have a story that I actually just discovered very recently. I didn't know this was true. You remember seeing Bear, right? Do you know that that's a true story? I wasn't aware of this, so I'm going to present this either way. Because also, interestingly, I don't think they highlighted this in the movie, but the guy who actually dropped is one of the most fascinating characters ever. And I really brought this up, not because I want to talk about the story, because I want to talk about Andrew Thornton II, the man who dropped for the bear. So, let me explain. Bear, also known as Pablo Escobar or Cokie the Bear, was a 175-pound female American black bear that fatally overdosed on in 1985. The had been dropped by a group of smugglers in the wilderness in Tennessee. The bear was found dead in northern Georgia and was stuffed and displayed at a mall in Kentucky. It inspired the 2023 comedy horror film Bear. Now, we'll briefly go over the history here before talking about truly the GOAT, Andrew C. Thornton II. On September 11th, 1985, crazy date, former Lexington Police Department narcotics turned... wait, I just fucked that up. Former Lexington Police Department narcotics officer turned smuggler Andrew C. Thornton II. Not only was he a cop turned smuggler, he was also a licensed attorney. I like to add. Was trafficking into the U.S. After dropping off a shipment in Georgia, Thornton and an accomplice, Bill Leonard, departed in a self-piloted Cessna 404 Titan. En route, the duo dropped a load of 40 plastic containers of into the wilderness before abandoning the plane above Knoxville. Allegedly, Thornton was killed when his parachute failed to open. According to the FBI, Thornton dumped his cargo because the load of 2 men, in addition to the coke, was too heavy for the plane to carry. On December 23rd, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation reported finding a dead black bear that had eaten a large amount of from the jettison containers and suffered an overdose. The containers held 75 pounds of valued at $20 million at the time, which today is just under $60 million. And by the time the scene was studied by government authorities, all of the containers had been ripped open with their contents scattered. The chief medical examiner from the Georgia State Crime Lab, Dr. Kenneth Alonzo, stated that her stomach was literally packed to the brim with, although he estimated she only absorbed 3 to 4 grams into her bloodstream at the time of her death. I mean, dude, let's be real. Absorbing a ball into your bloodstream all at once with another stomach, dude, that's like taking extended release. You know, it's just you got the extended release slowly leaking into your tummy. Now, here's where it gets even more ridiculous. The doctor did not want to waste the body of the bear, so he had her taxidermied. He gave it to the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area. The bear disappeared until it emerged again in a pawn shop. Eventually, the bear made her way to the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington, where she remains to this day. And there's even a conspiracy about this bear. It has been alleged that the bear in Lexington in the mall today is not the real bear, but rather another unrelated bear due to the fact that the original bear was in a state of decomposition. However, the mall denies this and claims that the bear is original. Here's where it gets even more fucked. According to the bear's owners, the bear has the authority to officially legally binding weddings in the mall where it is kept due to a loophole in Kentucky's marriage laws. This claim is only partly true. The bear does not have the authority to solemnize weddings, but the state of Kentucky cannot invalidate marriages performed by unqualified persons if the parties believe that the person marrying them has the authority to do so. As such, it is a belief in the bear's authority that allows her to officiate legally binding weddings in Kentucky. Now,
so as long as you believe.
If you just believe, yeah, in Kentucky, it's just like, well, as long as you didn't think you were being deceived, it's cool.
Yeah.
Now, really, the interesting thing here is I want to talk about the smuggler who dropped this. This guy lived arguably one of the sickest fucking lives ever, okay? Andrew Carter Thornton II was an American narcotics officer and a lawyer who became the head member of the company, which is a smuggling ring in Kentucky. What do you mean? This guy just was a cop turned lawyer turned leader of a smuggling ring.
Right.
Now, after quitting the army, He joined the police department in Lexington in 1968. He took night classes at Eastern Kentucky University, graduated with a degree in 71. He became a member of the narcotics squad in the 70s, worked on investigations, and during his time at the police, he was also taking law school classes, and he earned his Juris Doctor is his official, that's basically a law degree, it's just a fancy lawyer name for it, in 1976. While he was still a narcotics officer, he then also began smuggling, and he resigned shortly after, just in 1977, and then just practiced law as a side hustle as he was smuggling.
Nice.
Now, he wasn't just a smuggler. He was also a thief. 4 years later, in 1981, he was among 25 men that were accused in Fresno, California, in a theft of weapons from the China Lake Naval Weapons Center, and also conspired to smuggle 1,000 pounds of weapons in the United States. After pleading not guilty in court, he fled the state of California and was arrested as a fugitive in North Carolina, wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying a pistol. Mind you, this guy's a fucking licensed attorney. The entire this guy could be defending you in court, Kyle. He pled no contest in Fresno to a misdemeanor charge, and the felony charges were dropped. He was only sentenced to 6 months in prison, fined $500, placed on probo for 5 years, and had his law license suspended.
Wow.
What the fuck do you mean this guy only got 6 months in prison for robbing the China Lake Naval Weapons Center, a federal facility?
Yeah, that's bananas. He must have been a crazy
Once upon
attorney.
a time, this was a free country, Kyle.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't
he
do
must
that
have been
anymore.
one hell of a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, he was a hell of a guy. Like,
Yeah.
what do you fucking mean? You got away with this. Now, we're not going to read this full paragraph about his death because we just heard it on the Bear article, but I want to highlight what he had on him when he died because it was not highlighted in the last article we read. The plane crashed over 60 miles away from where they took off in North Carolina, and at the time of his death, Thornton was wearing a bulletproof vest and expensive Italian shoes. Drip the fuck up. Bulletproof. He sounds like he had a bulletproof vest everywhere. And he was in possession of night vision goggles, a Green Army duffel bag with 75 pounds of $4.5 grand in cash, 6 ounces of gold, knives, and 2 pistols. I'm not going to lie. This sounds like one of the coolest guys who's ever lived. Oh, this sounds like one of the coolest guys who's ever lived. How dare I disrespect our sponsor? Hold on. Let me just fix that. Like, this is a guy who, like, I don't know about you, but, like, I'd smoke a with that guy.
Yeah.
You know? Sounds like a cool motherfucker, dude. Sounds like a cool-ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Also, I know we're not supposed to double dip, but this one's so short, I just had to kind of whip it out. Because I think you're going to like this one a lot. This is just a quick little video.
Okay.
So in Peru, the police used a capybara costume to lure and arrest a suspected dealer. Watch this fucking video. That's a cop on the left right there
Okay.
in that costume. This is real footage of them doing the bust. The guy in the pink shirt's the dealer. Bro, he goes into his house and just tackles his little bitch ass. That's a real criminal, and the guy, he's legitimately arresting him right here. Look at that
Could you
shit.
imagine getting arrested by a giant capybara?
I could, dude. You couldn't do this in America. They just shoot you. If some guy in a capybara costume knocks on like a house in Texas and just tackles the guy who answers the door, he's getting his head blown clean off by their 8-year-old son. You know. Here in Peru, I guess you can just fucking do that. You don't even have to identify yourself as police.
Yeah.
Just go for it, you know? But look at that shit, dude. They found all this shit in his crib, too. Look at all that dope.
Wow.
Those were leaves, I'm pretty sure. They got him in the capybara costume doing the lineup. That's actually crazy. He just, by the way, I don't know if you noticed in the video, but he literally rang that doorbell alone and just did that. like literally no backup, just on his own in a costume with no weapon. He's like, yo,
hold on,
I'll just go in and tackle this fucking guy. Like, you guys are pussies, dude. Like, that's a heater. Oh God. Well, you know, I think it's time for our next little segment. Dude, I keep fucking up the sponsor back. Oopsie.